Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Northampton Township Board of Supervisors meeting. It is Wednesday, August 28th, 2024. Call the meeting to order. Please rise for a pledge of allegiance and then stay standing for a moment of silence. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, thank you. Be seated. Well, welcome everybody. Thanks for coming out on this toasty night. We're glad to see everybody here. Just a couple of orders of business first before we get into a special presentation. We have two opportunities for public comment this evening. The first opportunity is for agenda items only, and if you'd like to speak on any agenda item, please sign up in the back on the table, and I'll recognize you and have you come up to the microphone. And then there's a second opportunity at the end of the meeting, which is open public comment on any subject you'd like to share with the board, and if you'd like to do that, please sign up on the other sheet in the back of the room, and I'll recognize you and have you come up to the microphone at that time. So let's get started. We have a really exciting special presentation tonight. We are welcoming the Northampton Bombers, who are the Prep Legion team, who are state champions, and we're going to come down to the microphone and recognize you guys formally today. I would like to ask the team and coaches to come on up. Kind of stand around with the supervisors here. Again, everybody's taller than me. What is going on?
Me too.
However, you guys just kind of stand around.
You put the next ball. Come on.
So this is very exciting. Northampton Township is fortunate enough to have a state champion team, the Pennsylvania State Champion team, right here from our own town. So congratulations, guys. And we're always excited when we're able to bring our state champions into the room and share this with everybody on YouTube and the cable channel and everywhere else. So, by the way, this will all be on YouTube, so you can go look at it later and send it out to your friends if you like. And one of the things we really like to do is formally recognize you and actually proclaim something about you today. So I'm going to read the proclamation, and then we'll maybe have a couple words. So, whereas the Northampton Bombers won the 2024 Bucks County Prep Legion and went to the 2024 Prep Legion State Championship undefeated, and whereas the Northampton Bombers defeated Back Mountain Prep Legion to win the state championship, whereas the Board of Supervisors wishes to recognize the significant training, motivation, and teamwork of the Northampton Bombers for winning the Pennsylvania Prep Legion State Championship on July 31 in Boyertown. And whereas the Board of Supervisors is proud to honor each of the players, all of you guys, now therefore, the Northampton Township Board of Supervisors wishes to recognize and congratulate the Northampton Bombers and their coaches on winning the Prep Legion State Championship and proclaim this 28th day of August 24 as Northampton Bombers Team Day in Northampton Township. So what's kind of cool about that is it goes into the official record of the township forever that today is your day. So when you get older, you can come back and look at the minutes, and there it will be. And we have this proclamation. I'll call the coach. Is it coach? Team coach? Yeah, Manager? Sure. I don't know.
These guys are my coaches too.
Jim DiGiuseppe.
Come up here.
Why don't you guys come on
Keith
up too?
Melhuish, Tom Clay.
Keith Melhuish and Tom Clay. These are the coaches that did fine work with these guys. So congratulations.
Sure. I'm not much for words, as everybody knows. Now, on behalf of the coaches, myself, and the parents and the players, we'd like to thank you for awarding us this. It's a great honor, and we're really happy to receive this.
Thank you. Well, thank you for representing our township and making us all proud. And what we also have for each of you is your own copy of the proclamation with your name on it that you can take home and cherish. So I'm going to give that to the coach, and you can give that out. So can we get together for a picture with the board?
We all
Come on
showered.
in. Yeah, everybody.
So tell me, who walked the last out?
Mason,
Fly ball?
you don't even want to know.
One more picture.
There we go.
Look forward, pictures, hold on, look forward.
All right, before you leave, come on, Board of Supervisors, come on out. High five, let's go. Thanks, guys. Coach, thank you.
Coach, great job.
Watch that on YouTube.
Yep.
I'll just give them another minute to clear.
Very exciting. Yeah.
All right, moving on with the meeting. We have one person that would like public comment. Joe Johnson. Hi, Joe.
Hello, everyone. Joe Johnson, I'm a resident. This is just a housekeeping item on the June minutes that were approved last month in July. Resolution R24-8 was approved, and in the printed minutes that are online right now, it doesn't include the resolution.
Okay.
So it's just a housekeeping thing. If that could be posted, thank you.
Appreciate that. Thanks for catching that. First up, approval of the minutes.
Okay, if there are no objections, I'd like to propose approval of the minutes for July 24,
Anything else?
2024.
Accounts payable, Kim?
Yes, I have the bills list for August 14th, 2024. Total all funds, $1,644,036.53. And I also have the bills list for August 28th, 2024. Total all funds, $554,764.93.
Thanks. And I just have one housekeeping item. This has to do with the firehouse construction at Station 73 at Holland, 451 East Holland Road, where you have to do a deed transfer from the volunteer fire company to the township. That's just an easy paperwork exercise, but we do need to do it. If there's no other comments about the consent items, I'll accept a motion to approve as heard.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Sorry, first up is Consider a resolution opposing two House bills, 1976 and 2045. Bob?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Two House bills were recently introduced in the Pennsylvania legislature that would force local municipalities across the Commonwealth to amend their zoning regulations and require multifamily residential units to be permitted by right in all commercially zoned areas and on any underdeveloped single-family zoned lot in residentially zoned areas. Historically, land use regulation and control in Pennsylvania has been within the sole purview of local elected officials who decide how to best design and designate their zoning ordinance based on the uniqueness of each municipality and the desire of its residents as outlined in comprehensive plans. The proposed legislation, House Bill 1976 and House Bill 2045, would supersede the authority of local elected officials and force municipalities to accept housing types in commercially and residentially zoned areas that will create a haphazard and unplanned mix of uses, change the planned character of specific zoning districts, potentially reducing property values, and additionally burdening local infrastructure. As an example, House Bill 1976 would require municipalities to allow multifamily housing, 3 or more units, on any commercially zoned property, whether in an existing building or an undeveloped land. In addition, municipalities may not require more than 1 parking space per unit. House Bill 2045 would require municipalities to allow 2, 3, and 4-unit residential buildings on any undeveloped, residentially zoned lot, even if that lot is located in a single-family unit development or single-family zoned area. These bills are an attempt at state government to overreach into local government affairs and should be rejected outright by our representatives in Harrisburg. I'd like to actually, if I may, read the resolution into the record before moving.
Please.
Resolution R 2410 states as follows: a resolution of the Board of Supervisors of Northampton Township, Bucks County, Pennsylvania, opposing proposed state legislation to mandate new requirements for multifamily housing in local zoning laws. Whereas elected township supervisors directly represent their municipalities at the most local level and frequently interact with residents and neighbors in their communities. And whereas land use, planning, and local zoning matters have historically been within the sole purview of local officials elected in Pennsylvania who understand the unique needs of their communities. And whereas House Bill 1976 and House Bill 2045 propose a one-size-fits-all approach to local zoning requirements and do not consider the unique needs of each municipality. And whereas local elected officials must consider factors such as infrastructure capacity, emergency service availability, open space needs, land preservation, and cultural amenities when designating and designing and adopting its land development and zoning regulations. And whereas statewide and arbitrary zoning mandates overlook these critical factors and impose a uniform solution that may not be suitable for all communities. And whereas the Bucks County Association of Township Officials opposes statewide zoning mandates on local zoning regulations because they do not account for the specific needs and conditions of individual communities. And whereas the Bucks County Association of Township Officials opposes House Bill 1976 and House Bill 2045 because these proposed bills fail to ensure affordable housing and merely promote haphazard development contrary to the planned and organized zoning regulations already in existence. And whereas the Bucks County Association of Township Officials and Pennsylvania State Association of Township Supervisors recommend focusing on addressing blight, rehabilitating existing housing, managing construction costs related to stormwater management, uniform construction code regulations, and providing additional funding for municipalities to conduct housing studies and plan for long-term housing needs. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Board of Supervisors of Northampton Township hereby opposes House Bill 1976 and House Bill 2045 and supports local control of planning and zoning regulations to better serve the unique needs of Northampton community. If I may make a motion.
Please.
I move to adopt the resolution I just read into the record, R-24-10, opposing House Bills 1976 and 2045 that would undermine local control of land use regulations and implement a state-mandated one-size-fits-all approach to local zoning requirements.
I'll second it.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Discussion. Bob?
Yes, I normally wouldn't take that much time at this juncture and read into the record the entire resolution, but this is a serious issue, and I take a lot of pride in the fact that I think our board is very nonpartisan. I don't want this to be a partisan issue, but this can best be described as communist garbage that is an attempt to destroy the suburbs and have the state step into our community and tell us what's best for our zoning regulations. It's atrocious. I have no reason to believe this will ever pass the House Senate at this point, but this is the typical canary in the coal mine. There are a lot of things on a state level and a federal level that 10, 15 years ago you would think are unheard of and impossible, and they're happening right now. This is how it starts. This is nothing other than the destruction of the suburbs. That's all I have.
Thanks, Bob. Kim, did you have anything?
First of all, I want to say that our zoning laws protect our residents. I could never vote for anything that goes against protecting our residents. I think one of the things that really stood out to me, so say you have a nice, you've saved, you've worked, you've gotten a nice house in Northampton, and you have an open lot right next door to you. So the state can come in and tell you what it's going to go there right next to you. That's not right. So I am vehemently opposed to this bill, both of them.
Thanks, Kim. Paula?
Okay, good. I agree with everything that has been said already. I think it's atrocious, and we are Northampton Township. We're not Philadelphia, and I think we would be a Philadelphia if this was allowed to go through, and hopefully every township in Pennsylvania will vote against this, and it's going to go away, and we won't have to do this. And according to what I read, the businesses also can take their property and give it or sell it to people that want to build homes. And, yeah.
Thank you. Barry?
Yes, I mean, I agree with all the other board members. I'm the liaison for planning and zoning, and this is absolutely absurd. And we have a very well-established process for planning and zoning issues within this township, which protects the rights of our residents and protects the rights of our property owners. And for the state to step in and try to propose this is unbelievable. So I agree 100% to oppose it.
Thank you. And I echo my fellow board members as well. The residents and the Board of Supervisors of this township should have the most say in how our township is planned, laid out, and we do a really good job with that. Our township is very diverse in housing already. If you drive around, we have something for everyone, and we do not need someone from Harrisburg telling us who our neighbors are going to be, how it's going to look, and where they're going to build. It's just, I'm opposed to that as well. Hearing all the discussion, all those in favor of opposition to these House bills indicate by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Next up, Paula, a resolution to eliminate the fire inspection fees.
Yes, Northampton Township charges local businesses an annual fee for its fire safety inspection program, which is designed to ensure compliance with the fire code requirements for public places. The fees are included in the township fee schedule and increase based on the size of the building. The township currently collects approximately $30,000 in fees each year. The most important purpose of the fire safety inspection program is to protect life and property from the ravages of fire, and the administration recommends that the board eliminate the fire safety inspection program fees to further encourage compliance by local businesses. Our businesses greatly contribute to the local tax base, and many generously sponsor local programs and services, including programs initiated by our Parks and Recreation Department. Eliminating these fees will also reduce the time and expense of invoicing, mailing, and following up for collection and processing of payments. The following motion is appropriate. I move to adopt Resolution R24-11, amending the township fee schedule to eliminate fire safety inspection and re-inspection fees effective September 1st, 2024, and coinciding with the start of the program inspection period.
I'll second it.
Thank you. Yeah, I wanted to say this is very good for business, and since we have full-time fire people working, I think it's a very good idea to keep it not being charged to businesses.
Thanks, Paul. Kim?
I think this is wonderful for our businesses in Northampton, especially if we can save them a couple dollars and they get to be safe and they get to be inspected by our firefighters. Maybe they could use that extra money to buy their fire extinguishers or whatever else they need. So I think this is a great idea.
Thanks, Kim.
Thanks, Kim. Bob?
In the spirit of full disclosure, I do own a business in the township, although I don't think the de minimis fee is such that I should recuse myself. But I do think, in light of what Supervisor Gasper referenced, now that we have transitioned to full-time firemen and they are now effectively being paid full-time, this can be incorporated into their duties. And I think it's, in light of that transition, a reasonable thing to do for the businesses within the township, mine notwithstanding. And so I'm in favor of this.
Thanks, Barry.
I support it, and Bob's tone there, too. I have a business in Upper Southampton, so I would encourage the folks of Upper Southampton to follow same course of action. It's more of a nuisance fee. It's sometimes $40, $50, and it's insignificant. So I think it's a good show of faith here.
Thanks. I think it's a great give back from the board now that we do have a full-time fire service, and it is part of their duties to go out and do the inspections. It does give them a little bit more money. If you look at some of the tax rates that they pay, they're already paying pretty good, and the fees range anywhere from $55 to $1,700 depending on the size of the property. So this is a significant give back. I do have one request that I'd like to make of the motion and the second, and it should be January 1st, 2025, not September 1st, 2024. I know that's what's printed in here.
apologize.
If that's okay, could you
Yeah.
do the motion and a second agree to that?
Yep.
Okay, thank you.
You want me to repeat it or no?
I don't think it's necessary, but it's January 1st, 2025.
Okay.
All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Next, bids for the purchase of salt
Yeah. I know. So
on a 98-degree day.
Yeah, right. On behalf of the Bucks County Consortium, Doylestown Borough advertised bids for rock salt in the Intelligencer on July 28, 2024, and August 6, 2024. A contract will be awarded to Morton Salt Incorporated, Chicago, Illinois, at the base price of $60.95 per ton delivered, $60 per ton undelivered. Our last contract was for $66 per ton with Sylvie Concrete, Riverside Construction Materials, and we used approximately 4,000 tons this past winter season. With that, I'd like to make a motion.
Please.
I move that we award a contract for rock salt to Morton Salt Incorporated, Chicago, Illinois, at the base price of $60.95 per ton, delivered to the Northampton Township Salt Shed, 150 Louise Drive, Ivyland, PA, 18974, and an undelivered price per ton of $60.
I have a second?
Second that.
Any discussion?
I just want to say, no snow this year. That's all I'm saying.
We'll do a proclamation on that.
Yes, that's what we need.
Anybody else?
That's a great price.
All in
Don't need
favor?
it, but I'm sure we will.
All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Next, Barry, the update on the investment policy for the
Sure,
Employees Pension Fund.
One of the things I also do is I serve on the pension committee with other, people, and we have an outside company, GYL Financial Services, Financial Synergies, that manages the pension fund for the police and the non-union workers. In total, it's about $50 million. We updated the policy in 2010, and we're now in the process of tweaking the policy a little bit. The pension money is actually, as you can imagine, invested on a very conservative basis. And all we're doing here is making some minor adjustments to broaden some of the categories and increase some of the percentages, things like that. So what I'd like to do, Adam, just make the motion for it. So I move to adopt the proposed update to the Township Investment Policy Statement dated August 2024, as recommended by the Pension Plan Advisory Committee, as a guide for the investment of township pension fund assets.
Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Any further discussion, Barry?
No, I think it's good that we look at it from time to time, and like this is, we looked at it 2010, so we're updating it now, so no major changes. And I think people should be rest assured we're not investing in Bitcoin or anything crazy. It's very conservative investments to maintain the assets. So
Great. Any other?
Thank goodness for our funding,
No,
yes.
I think it's,
All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thanks. And this doesn't require a vote, but Barry, you're going to report on the minimum municipal obligation for the police and non-uniformed employee pension plans.
Sure. So every year we need to report to the residents and to the public the amount of the contribution that's necessary for the pension funds. This is for the police pension fund and also for the non-union pension fund. So actuaries go through that process and calculate what the number should be. The police pension fund was $1,009,344. The non-union employees plan was $683,397. And then there's a money purchase pension plan, which is $320,232. So the total obligation is $2,012,973. What's very nice is that the state of Pennsylvania actually contributes a significant portion of it. For the state of Pennsylvania, we're anticipating $984,000 to offset the $2 million number. So that brings our balance down to a number about $1,028,973. If you compare 25 compared to 24, it's about $46,000 less than we did for 24. Part of that reason is that because of, it's a lot of factors, but the money that's invested has been done very well in the market for the investment policy, so that's a strong point. So I'm just basically reporting no actions required on it.
Thank you for the report, Barry. Next up, liaison reports. Kim.
Yes. Residents should have received the Parks and Rec fall brochure. I received mine today. Take a look at it. There's a ton of information in there. And it has a brand-new look, which is really cool. This issue is jam-packed with trips, activities, and classes for all ages. Trips and activities are filling fast, so be sure to look at it and go online or call the rec department to register. The Recreation Center is transforming from summer camp to back to school. Teachers are, I know, all the parents are probably cheering right now. Teachers are excited to welcome their new students back to school on Monday, September 9th. Preschoolers will be able to meet their teachers next Friday on September 6th. Register now for fall classes, trips, and workshops. Classes begin the week of September 9th. Our September workshops and trips are almost full. Mark your calendars for our September events. On Saturday, September 21st, there's a trip to New York City to see Wicked, the musical, on Broadway, and it's almost full, so contact them right away if you want to go. September 22nd to the 25th, various one-night art workshops. And then on Friday, September 27th, Northampton Township Fall Festival from 5:30 to 9:30. Gather with family, friends, and neighbors to enjoy a festival evening with live music, vendors, food trucks, crafters, pony rides, and so much more. Watch the email, social media, and Parks and Rec website for full details. The last one that we had, everyone had such a fabulous time, so I'm telling you, get there. It's so much fun. The Parks and Rec Department is looking forward to our first fall season with the Northampton Senior Center under its umbrella. We are all looking forward to coming together and offering even more quality programming at the center. And now, The Senior Center. With summer coming to an end, the seniors are wrapping up a very successful bocce league with over 100 seniors participating. There's plenty of excitement building with the anticipation of the center's fall programs to include a new billiards league, table, shuffleboard, and darts league. Meditation and tap dance classes are starting back up in September. A new beginner's drawing class, a second Zumba Gold class, and 3 different levels of Spanish language class begin in September as well. For details for all the classes and programming available at the Senior Center, feel free to stop by the center to pick up a schedule or check the center's website at northamptonsc.com. Excuse me. If you're an artisan or craftsperson, why not think about participating in the center's annual Holiday Marketplace Vendor Show on Friday, December 6th from 5 to 8:30. Vendor applications are available at the center, and if you're not able to stop by, just call the center and request one. And last but not least, we wish Sheila Jobs best wishes on her retirement, which is September 9th. And congratulations to Michelle Pennicow, who will be taking over as manager of the Senior Center. And that's all I have.
All right, thank you, Kim. Paula?
Awesome. Okay, I wanted to discuss the library. My liaison report includes our strategic plan update. The Library Board and Strategic Plan Committee members continue to explore the most foundational strategies to drive the library forward as we look towards the next decade of the library service to our community. After many meetings and discussions, the Library Board will be making final recommendations to the Board of Supervisors at the September meeting to authorize moving forward with 2 initiatives. The first one is the request of hiring a marketing consultant to rebrand the library to increase its visibility within the township. And that's a big decision. The recommendation, will include hiring a consult company, creating a new logo, color, style guide, and messaging for publicity, as well as building a new website. The recommendation will include cost estimates. The second request of the library to the Board of Supervisors, is approval to fund in the 2025 budget the hiring of an architect firm to create a master concept plan, vision, and feasibility study. The goal of this study would explore the possibilities of physical improvements to the library as identified in the 2023 strategic plan that we met and had future suggestions requested by our community. The outcome of this study would identify improvements along with cost estimates for future consideration as the years go by. In other news, the library scheduled 90 programs, and we had 4,430 people attend. And our 8 family program events had 169 attendees. Okay, the visitor count to our library exceeded 16,000 in July. That's the first time it's been that high since 2020, January. So we're moving along with the library and building our culture of Northampton Township. The veterans had a meeting, one meeting so far this summer, and we are discussing the possibility of having, or the plans of having Veterans Day celebration at the Star Center. That would be on November 9 for to acknowledge and recognize all our veterans. It's a very, very nice, respectful program. And that's about it for me.
Thanks, Paula.
Thank you.
Bob?
No report this evening. Happy and safe Labor Day to everybody. That's my least favorite holiday of the year because summer's over. But at least my children go back to school, so there's some upside.
Silver lining. Thanks, Bob. Barry?
Yes, thanks, Bob. The Planning Commission and the Zoning Hearing Board were actually canceled in August because of lack of agenda items. The Planning Commission will next meet on September 10th, and the Zoning Hearing Board will have a meeting on September 9th. We do have a little bit of activity in the industrial parks. 2 are on Richard Road and 1 is on Railroad Drive. Land development plans have been submitted for some industrial buildings there, so I'll be bringing those to, they'll be running through Planning Commission, then they'll come to this board. The Planning Commission also recommended the approval of the redevelopment of the mill race property in Holland. It looks like that's moving forward. We did make some adjustments to it to cut down the number of condominiums there, and the developers agreed to that. So that's going to be a combination of condominiums and also office use in the old original structure. So I think that's going to be before this board, probably in September or October, for approval there. So, and that's all I have.
Thanks, Barry. I just have one quick item tonight. October 19th will be the scheduled fire prevention open house at the fire stations. All 3 fire stations will be open from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. And simultaneously, we're going to dedicate the 2 new fire stations, or the rebuilt fire stations, I should say, the one in Richboro on Newtown Richboro Road and the one in Holland at East Holland and Old Jordan Roads. We'll do a dedication ceremony in each. So keep an eye out, and more details will be coming, but that's what's scheduled for the stations. We'll also have tours, so anybody from the public that would like to come to the firehouse is welcome to come through. However, if you're walking by or driving by between now and then and you'd like to stop in, feel free to knock on the door, and I'm sure you can get a look through anytime you want.
You have an elevator now. That's exciting.
There is an elevator for those that need it, yes. Manager's report.
Just one quick item. We got word from PennDOT that they are planning to bid the Ironworks Creek sidewalk project after 6 years of engineering and waiting and COVID. The project will be bid this fall. They may start construction before the end of the year. Spring is the expected completion date. The project construction cost is approximately $1.4 million. That will be paid for by the state. The township, for its purpose, is responsible for the engineering, most of which we've already paid for. We will have to share in the cost of construction inspection. But that project is finally, after so many years, moving forward, and very happy to see that done.
Thank you, Bob. Assistant Manager report, Bill.
Nothing tonight, thanks.
Thanks, Bill. Solicitor report, Joe.
No report this evening, thank you.
Thank you, Joe. Sitting in for our engineer for Amanda, who's not here tonight, is Jacob Rigg. Engineer's report.
I do have a quick little update, again, on another capital improvement project happening in the township. This is for their Township's MS4 permit, which is their Municipal Separate Storm Sewer System permit, which is a state-mandated thing that they're required to maintain and reduce sediment entering Neshaminy Creek. So the township has 2 grants for $615,000 from DEP Growing Greener and DCED PA Small Water and Sewer Programs to complete a basin retrofit project for the detention basin in the Northampton Crossing subdivision. This is on Glen Meadow Road. The basin is actually located at the corner of Holland and Upper Holland Road. This project is now through the design phase and is currently out to bid. Bidding ends September 12th and will be on your next supervisor meeting for consideration, and it's just to upgrade the basin to make it more naturalized, help reduce the sediment leaving from that basin, and again, meet some of the requirements of the township's MS4 permit. So that's all I have.
Thank you. Thanks for helping us out tonight, sitting in. Public comment. I have 2 names on. I'll start with Mike Whittle. Can you just state your name for the record?
Sure. Mike Whittle, Stratford Drive, Churchville.
Thank you.
I heard a couple of supervisors talk about the safety of our residences tonight. I'm here to talk about the health and safety of our residences. Last week I found out my well is contaminated with PFAS. Why did I get it tested? Because a neighbor down the street told me to. What did I do? I didn't contact the township to have it tested. I didn't contact the Water Authority to have it tested. I didn't contact the Navy to have it tested. I directly called the water testing company, Tetra Tech, and asked them to come out and test my water. They immediately came out, tested my water. Within 3 weeks, gave me the results that I didn't want to hear. On the same day I got those results, they ordered water for me to drink and cook with. Every 2 weeks, they're going to deliver water to my house, 2 jugs, 8 cases of water, and they even delivered a dispenser for me. How nice. What's concerning to me is I had to find out from my neighbor to get my water tested. There's nothing coming from the township telling me that there's a problem in Churchville. It's word of mouth. It's neighbor to neighbor. It's one relative telling another relative. Mr. Salazar, last week or last month, you gave a very strong comment or talk on the PFAS situation in Churchville. But since then, we don't know what's going on. I talked to Senator Fetterman's office and his aides. They keep me in touch with what's going on. They invite me to meetings. I spoke with Senator Casey's office yesterday. One of their reps wanted to come to the meeting tonight. I said, why? It's not on the agenda, but I'll let you know what happened. They want to get involved with me, but I hope the township and the Water Authority is also working effortlessly to talk with state-level officials, federal, Navy officials, to get something done. I feel like we're an island. And when you do find out that maybe your neighbor down the street had their water tested and you call the township or you call the Navy to try and have your water tested, you're declined. You're denied that water testing availability. We don't know what rhyme or reason is to what's going on. I know we're Northampton Township. It is a Navy problem, but it's affecting the residents of Churchville who are in the dark. We don't know what's going on. How did I find out that water is being installed on 2 streets near me? There's a Facebook page describing what those stakes in the ground are and what those white lines in the street mean. It means those residences are getting public water in the near future. And I found out through Facebook. I don't even belong to Facebook. And I found out what's going on in my neighborhood. I think we need a clear communication, a clear understanding of what the township is doing, what the Water Authority is doing with higher level authority to get the funding in place to have public water installed in our neighborhood. I lived here 35 years. I know they changed the levels of contamination with PFAS chemicals in our drinking water, but it's affecting the health and safety of the residents who live in Churchville. And we're not getting a whole lot of feedback or communication from the township on what's being done. We're the ones doing the digging. My family and friends are the ones who are calling senators, congressmen, and they're trying to help us, but I understand we're just citizens, and we need the township officials to get involved. If they're not involved, get involved. If they are involved, get more involved to help us with this situation in Churchville, because it's our health and safety, and we trust the township to protect our health and safety. This is an important issue, but I think it's under the radar right now, and I think it needs to be more or better publicized to at least the people who live within those boundaries that Mr. Salazar explained last month. Bustleton, Bristol, 2nd Street Pike, and perhaps New Road. Hundreds of people live in that area, maybe 1,000, who knows? But it's all by word of mouth that we're becoming aware of this PFAS problem. I'm not sure how many people saw you last month. I'm not sure how many people I called over the last month, but the issue is growing among people. And without getting more information, there's disinformation out there. Will everyone get water? Will only houses with high level of PFAS in their well get attached to the new public water system? We don't know. We don't know if you have the answers. Maybe it's a Navy program or a Navy policy. We don't know. The federal budget begins, the fiscal year begins 1 October. Do we know if money's been appropriated for FY25 or even FY26 to have public water installed in our neighborhood? We know money is available to do the streets near me. Picture this, Mr. Salazar. My street is between Fairhill, Charlotte, and Windsor. I'm surrounded on 3 sides by streets that will have or already have water, and I'm sitting there with a contaminated well. Yes, I'm getting drinking water and cooking water. It's still an uncomfortable feeling, not having a contaminated well. I appreciate you listening to me tonight. we hope you work hard to get this resolved quickly. You can see my friends, relatives, and neighbors are here tonight to support this issue. I will continue to be in contact with Senator Fetterman's office, Senator Casey's office. I will go to a Bucksmont water board meeting, water board, that's not a good word, but I will go to the Bucksmont Water Authority meeting to be a citizen. They want to hear from the people of Churchville what's going on, and I'm more than willing to let them know what's going on because we want more done. So thank you for your time. Please, this is an important issue for the health and safety of Churchville.
Thank you, Mr.
Thank you.
Will. I think a few of us will want to make comments, but first and foremost, I want to thank you for coming here, and I'm really glad you brought your specific issue to our attention. You did hear from us last month. I know how frustrating this is for you. It is frustrating for us, too. We are having the same difficulties navigating the federal and state folks that are working on this as you are. We vowed last month to try to get involved. That's what Mr. Salzer did last month. I will tell you, I made a promise last month that I would talk to the congressman directly, and I did. I did talk to Brian Fitzpatrick. I left him a message. About a week later, he called me back, and we talked about this specific issue. I asked him to come down there to see you, to knock on doors and see the people that this affects. This is a terrible situation for our residents. We know it. We are in your corner. We're going to do everything that we can. I know it doesn't seem like it has been as public, but one of the things that you probably will see soon is we agreed to send a mailer out to everybody. We've already been in the works. We wanted, the trouble we were having is we were trying to make sure we had the facts straight. We don't want to put something out and then it turns out it wasn't the right information. I personally think that the area that's affected is bigger than they're saying. I don't think there's any question of that. I know how water moves, and it has been moving for many, many years. We want public water down there. That's what we want. We want you to have safe, clean drinking water, and I can assure you that we are working behind the scenes, putting pressure on these folks to do it. As though you don't see or hear it, because it's really been just the last few weeks where we got involved. Same for the Water Authority. The Water Authority has been extremely active in working with the Navy, making plans to try to run additional public water lines for your drinking water. So that is all in the works. Mr. Pellegrino can probably give a little bit more detail, but I'm glad you're here. I want to call them back and say, residents are coming to see us. You are right, this is a federal issue. The United States Navy owns this issue. It is theirs. They contaminated the water. They have to make it right. I don't think anybody on this board would disagree with that. And the federal government needs to step up. And that's what we think. Just hold on for 1 second. I'll let Bob speak, and then if you want to come up, I'll ask you to come up to the microphone if that's okay.
We have been dealing with this issue for some time, but our municipal authority has actually been spearheading it with the Navy. As you can imagine, the federal bureaucracy is very difficult to navigate. We have pressured the Navy to give us information on what wells they plan to test. They've tested a number of wells, and I remember years ago when this first came to light, this has been going on for 6 or 8 years. It came to light that there was contamination of some of the homes in Northampton. It was very few homes that they were willing to admit that they had anything to do with. That scope of their involvement has certainly expanded. It is down in your area now. As the chairman said, we believe it's larger than they're willing to say right now. Most recently, I've asked them, the Navy, for a map showing what properties they are testing and what properties they intend to test. I'll give you a quick example that I pointed out to them. They told us that one of our wells, well number 7, which is in the Churchville area, has contamination in it. It's been shut down for 8 years as a result. I don't know that they're testing properties right around that well area. Most of that area has public water. There's a small section that does not. Are they testing that? I've tried to get them to agree that they need to look at all of those properties. We are actively working on this. Perhaps we have not communicated what we've been doing well, but we are most recently more engaged because they've appropriated, to your question, about $6 million, which is not near enough. We estimate they need about $30 million to fix everything that we think they need to fix. But this is from memory, I believe Stratford is one of the streets that is on the bid to go out in the next several weeks to get public water. I believe you said Stratford, right? Yes. Yeah, I believe your street is on the list. There's a larger area. The Navy has said, we've only got this much money. So we pressured them to agree that they would recognize that they needed to do more than just that. Their original agreement with our authority said, this is all we're doing, and they wouldn't acknowledge that they had more to do. And we said, you need to publicly state in that agreement that you recognize you have more homes to hook up, and they did. Finally, they amended the agreement, but they have not appropriated any more money. The $6 million is coming out of this budget calendar. We won't know until their budget year is October. We won't know until next October whether there's going to be any more money appropriated. But I believe if you call me tomorrow, I can tell you whether Stratford's on the list, but I'm pretty sure your street is on the list for public water. And that bid is going out. The way this is working is they're contracting with our municipal authority to engineer and install the lines and hook everybody up. And all of that is completely covered by the Navy, by whatever money they have appropriated. The authority's doing all the work. Their contractors will do all the work. It's going to be necessary to have property owners agree to let contractors on the property to run their lateral services and put the meters in. And you can say no, but that is a piece that needs to happen. But once the authority does that work, the Navy reimburses them for all of the costs. So if you call me tomorrow, I can give you my phone number after the meeting. I'll be happy to give you the details. I'm pretty sure your street's on the list for this next contract. So that should be good news for tonight.
If there's a silver lining, it's the fact that at least our water authority is going to be doing the work, so it won't be a haphazard slap-on system. Did somebody else want to speak for a second?
I'd like to speak.
Do you want to come back up for a minute? Okay, sure.
Thanks for listening. But don't expect us to go back and tell our neighbors what's going on. You need to communicate that. You mentioned a newsletter, something on a website, an FAQ on a website as to if you think your well is contaminated. You can't rely on the 10 of us to go back to our neighborhood and speak to 1,000 people.
Nope.
Sure. I think what I wanted to tell you is it's not going to be a newsletter. It's going to be a letter specifically to that area of the township. Everyone will get in their mailbox explaining what's happening. It probably will have attached to it a letter from this board to Congressman Fitzpatrick exclaiming our request for help, et cetera.
And you may have told me more tonight on TV than you may put in that letter. It's okay. It's just...
That's fine.
We understand.
I'll call you tomorrow.
We understand.
But the word needs to be put out because there is disinformation. Why you? Why not me?
And that's been our biggest challenge is we want to send something out, but we want it to be right, and we have to just make sure it's right.
I think our greatest frustration is that the Navy is agreeing to hook up in this project about 70 homes. And that means that you might get connected, but if you're not one of those 70 homes and you're right next door, they're not going to get connected. That is a huge frustration for us. Mm-hmm. And we've said to the Navy, how can you honestly connect just this limited number of homes when you know that you've got to connect this whole area, and it's a big problem. They just are, the problem is the funding. They can't seem to get the funding. And I believe it was Mr. Salzer last month who said that, one missile one missile would pay for all of this. Something like that. I
think it was $38 million
Whatever
for
you said.
monkeys.
Whatever, yeah.
I'm glad someone was watching, and that was obviously for demonstrative purposes, and I wasn't picked to do that because I like to go on diatribes, although I do. I am the board's liaison to the Water Authority, and in all fairness to the Water Authority, this burden has been dropped on them. And at this point, all we're really asking for from the federal government is the check, and we can't even get a finalized answer. So I've repeatedly met with members of that board. Mr. Salsker and I spoke recently about following up and reaching out to the congressman, Mr. Fitzpatrick, and I know you did. I think that's a good pressure point. I spoke with board members as recently as this evening before this meeting to see if I would have an update on last month's diatribe, and I don't. And the reason really is because it becomes a moving target. And this is not a bureaucratic pass the buck that everyone in every government agency does. The last thing I want to do is go on record with something that turns out to not be true and then later say to you, sure, I said that in August. It's not my fault I was wrong. The federal government's not following through. We want to present accurate information. It's frustrating. I won't speak for the rest of the board, although I imagine they'll agree with me. It's frustrating for us because our hands are so tied. We care about our citizens. This is a problem that's been ongoing for years, and unfortunately, the more you dig into it, the worse it seems to get. And I will say, on this record, but off record, I don't think you have to be an expert in this to see, based on information I've been shown, the progression you can see as this problem, for lack of a better term, drifts. And I find it very difficult to believe, and I think the Navy's trying to convince the authority to some extent, well, we'll just stop here and it's fine. It's not fine. And to Mr. Pellegrino's point, you get hooked up and your neighbor doesn't. That solves your problem, but we're here for everyone. That doesn't solve the problem. So, again, as recently as this evening, I tried to see if there was any updated information that we could say with absolute certainty. We can't. I'm hoping the pressure that's being put on from various sources results in a final, better answer than what previous offers extended by the federal government have been. What they have suggested thus far, and it's not my call to make, is unacceptable.
And I don't mind sharing with you a quick story that originally, maybe a year ago, they put out a map of where they intended to run the water, and then they pulled back on it.
Yep.
We were out telling people on, Hilltop and Green, if somebody asked me, I said, I've seen you're in the public water. And then they rolled it back and said, oh, that's not what we meant.
That's true.
Which is why we're so worried about speaking out of turn.
And sometimes that information might leak out, or disinformation leaks out, it spreads around. It's not installed yet.
Yeah.
We need some kind of communication, and we appreciate your efforts.
To that end, and I will say this, my efforts are minimal compared to a lot of people at the authority. I've spoken with the director at the authority, and everyone's...
But you spoke up to us, and we appreciate it.
Well, and you're welcome, but talk's cheap, right? We got to get something done. I will say to you that the consensus was, when we have information that is solid, it immediately needs to be correctly disseminated to everyone who's potentially affected.
We would feel
I think nothing is better than giving you bad information. We're trying to expedite the right information. We just simply don't have it yet. But please feel free to contact me at any time, and I'll give you any updates we have. But I can't commit to anything because it's not mine to commit to. But I know the authority is working very diligently on this.
I hope you can hear.
Keeping an eye on it.
I hope you can hear the frustration in us, too. It's been very difficult for all of us.
You're at the higher level. We're at the lower level. A house 200 feet away from me may have water within a year.
Yeah.
And I won't. But It's what the Navy is funding right now. I understand what's going on.
But I want you to know, we treat everybody as our neighbors. And, you know, we could easily, any one of us could easily live in that area. I actually used to live on North Hilltop, so I do know.
Well, and I'll say this, sir, it would be really easy with the offers that have been extended by the Navy for everyone to just say, you know what, they did what they did, and whatever happens, happens. We're not doing that. The authority's not doing that. We're not just accepting the first offer.
Thank you.
You're
Thanks.
welcome.
Thank you for coming. Thank you all for coming.
Thank you.
Did you want to say something?
I would
Just can you come up to the microphone? I'm sorry. There may be folks watching on TV that won't be able to hear you. Okay, what's your name,
So
please?
I'm Mary Whittle.
Hi.
On Stratford Drive. And we're thankful that our water was tested as soon as we asked. But there's, in our Churchville community, which is very tight-knit, there are many people who have asked for their water to be tested and have been told that they're not in the boundary.
Right.
A street away, our family, our friends may be living with contaminated water. What do we tell them? To drink that water? To give it to their children? If anyone wants their water tested, they should be able to have their water tested at no cost to them. Thank you.
That's the frustration, that the boundary keeps changing. And they started out small, and they've expanded it, but in our opinion, they have not gone far enough. And right now, they're not acknowledging that they own anything beyond what they have told us they believe is the boundary. So again, one neighbor might get the water, and their next-door neighbor logically should too, but they're not, based on what the Navy is telling us. So right now, the only thing we know for certain is that there's about $6 million being spent, and there are going to be about 70 homes connected in your neighborhood. That's all we know for sure. They've made a commitment in writing to say they acknowledge that they have to go further, but they have no funding. They can't tell us that they will have funding. I think they will. I think our legislators are aware of this, and they are supporting pushing for more funding. But again, we're far away from the money that we need to really fix what we believe is the scope and size of this problem.
I just have one question. What is the cost of the test? Do you actually pay for the test out of pocket, or?
They did pay for it.
Was it a few $100s or something?
I heard today, I talked to someone today who was not in this immediate area, actually from not an affected area, according to the Navy anyway, pretty far away. This resident said it was $400 to do the test. Now, that's way down from what I heard it used to be, was $1,300. So maybe prices have come down because it's so much more prevalent now, and they figured out an easier way to do it, but...
There's a range of 400 to 1,500.
Is there? Okay, well then,
Okay.
yeah.
I mean, I just wonder, I'm thinking out loud, but I'm just, whether with the township, we should step in here and try to help offset the cost or do something to expedite this whole thing. And, I mean, this is unacceptable, not having drinking water. It's unacceptable to me. And, I mean, if we had to step in and just on an emergency basis, start testing all these homes and making sure which homes have contaminated water. And if we did in a larger basis, you know, I'm sure the cost would come down a lot. You know, maybe it's $250 a house or $300 a house, but it's unacceptable to have a house that you're, you know, we don't know whether the water's drinkable. It's unacceptable.
And one thing I'll add that may not be known, and there's always power in numbers, and this is a double-edged sword. There's probably a good side to this and a bad side to this, but in what I learned, this is not unique to this base or this area. This is a problem from New Jersey to Guam. Basically, everywhere the Navy touched, they did this. So whether that ultimately could potentially result in a large group settlement with the federal government, or if it actually waters down what everybody's getting, is yet to be determined. But it is stunning how far-reaching this problem is. Now, my only concerns, obviously, are Northampton, but if this becomes a large enough issue, I could see the government getting involved writ large. I don't know. But there's power in numbers, and the more noise people make, the more action you get. So I'm not a Facebook guy. I know you mentioned Facebook. I'm not. But there would not be a surprise to find there are other groups out there, and there's power in numbers.
Yeah.
So just a thought. This is not unique to our township.
Bob, could you look into the aspect of maybe doing some type of large-scale water testing for, because we know basically what neighborhoods are affected.
Yeah.
And then maybe what we could do is we could reach out from a township perspective directly to the homeowners and say, listen, we want to double check your water and test it
Yeah.
and report back. And
Could we just even do just like a little postcard that says, there's been a problem in your neighborhood, and we recommend that everybody gets, kind of,
yeah, the only thing I'm thinking,
but
Kim, is,
something small,
well,
not
but
with
somebody
all the
asked, I
information.
guess somebody tried to get tested and they couldn't get tested. I'm just saying, I wonder if the township just steps
The
in. And we
Navy
just,
wouldn't agree to test them.
but I wonder if we just get another agency, another
That
firm to
happens.
just test everybody.
That happens quite frequently. But
The-
the Navy is very reticent to expand the scope of their testing, right?
So I guess I'm proposing is that we get some other third party to test all the
Yeah, I
water.
understand.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? That way, let's not even wait with the Navy. Let's get everybody tested, so at least you know whether you have safe drinking water, you don't have safe drinking water. And I think if the township coordinates it, we can figure that out much faster.
They told us we were out of the scope.
Yeah, I mean, that's not acceptable. I mean,
What street are you on?
What street?
845 Bristol Road.
Bristol Road.
Yeah.
You're out of the scope.
Yeah, actually, that surprises me. I know where your house is.
And the Navy
Yeah.
told you you were not eligible?
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is exactly the, and it's always going to be, there's going to be one next street. The way it looked to me is the public water should go all the way to Bustleton, all the way through your neighborhood, all the way through, down through Valley, all the way to Bustleton. That's my uneducated guess. I'm
We all
sorry?
looked at the same maps.
Familiar with North Hilltown?
Yeah, I mean, I used to live in that neighborhood, so I know the neighborhood well. And, and it's all wells. Yep, it's an issue. Again, thank you for coming. We're glad to hear from you. I hope we gave you a little bit of ease. We are out there on it. We're not looking the other way by any means, and we'll take the comment about maybe getting a little bit more public with it.
Yeah. And let's seriously look into see if we do
Yep.
townwide testing for
Maybe
that
look
area.
at doing some other things as well.
Coordinate the effort for you.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Thanks again for coming. Joe? Thank you.
Joe Johnson. Joe Johnson, I am a resident. Before I talk about what I came here to talk about, I'm glad to, it's terrible what I just heard tonight. And I'm glad to see that the board and the municipal authority, I'm sure, will help by testing. But I think more importantly, I think the municipal authority needs to start actively looking for grants and free money to install public water to these homes. I think, testing is part of it, fixing it is through public water. Anyway, I'm here tonight to follow up on the conversation about the sale of the 50 Township Road, the old police station. This document is submitted for the record, Mr. Chairman. It's questions. My comments were left flat at the end of last meeting, so I changed them to questions. Question one, and by the way, if anybody's confused by my questions, please watch the June and July Supervisors meeting to get up to speed, and it'll make sense once you watch that. Was the Northampton Board of Supervisors given the opportunity and time to review the appraisal of the old Northampton Police Station prior to the June Board of Supervisors meeting? Two, why was the public not informed by the administration or the Board of Supervisors prior to the approval of Resolution R-24-8 that there was already an interested developer that submitted first draft sketches for a vacant and approved for development 5,030 square foot building, and that proposal at the township's request was valued by the township appraiser in addition to the existing building? Three, a 5,030 square foot building equals 8.7% building coverage when the existing lot size is buildable to 20%. Why didn't Northampton ask its appraisers for a value of 20% coverage on an 11,580 square foot vacant and approved for development building site? 4, the value for comparisons for the old police station and are from Lower Bucks County and Montgomery County. Question, was the Middle and Upper Bucks County also included in the appraiser's comparison search? 5, and this is from Bucks County Redevelopment Authority website. Redevelopment authorities operate in situations where the private sector and/or local governments cannot effectively perform. Please describe in detail why Northampton cannot effectively perform the task of selling a property that has at least one interested buyer, located in the Village Overlay District, has a 5-year tax freeze, is fully operational, and last occupied in early 2024. And by the way, when properties get referred to the redevelopment authority, okay, there's often taxpayer-funded incentives given to them. And when that happens, whatever we get on the sale of that property actually lowers it if they're getting tax incentives. Now, it was brought, Mr. Moore, I believe you brought it up, that the old Richboro School was a perfect example of a redevelopment authority that was successful. So let me just give you quick details on that. So the Council Rock sold the old Richboro School to a corporation for $400,000. The corporation sold, and that was in '95. '99, the corporation sells the old Richboro School to a bank for $1,140,000. In 2008, the bank subdivides the land into 3 parcels. The bank keeps one of them. Bank sells lot number 2 to a developer for $1. Developer agrees, I believe, to relocate the school and to do fully renovate the exterior, relocate the school building and relocate the building to lot 3 and fully renovate the exterior of the building. And then bank sells lot 3 to the township for $1. Okay, 09, Northampton transfers ownership to Bucks County Redevelopment Authority. 11, school appraises for $530,000, and in 14, the RDA sells for the school for $450,000. So I agree that buying the school for $1 and selling it for $450,000 is a pretty good deal. Okay, but there's no bank involved with the sale of the old police station, and so I wonder who's going to be the bank, okay, when that building is sold. And then the Mill Race Inn, just quickly, after flooding in '99-02, it was left to rot and is still abandoned today. Undeniably, the greatest eyesore in Northampton Township, and myself, and I'm sure everybody in the township is glad to see we finally have a developer who, is going to try to get a project, a condo project completed there. As far as the last Planning Commission meeting, Northampton Township, he had 50 waivers that he was requesting. Now, of course, he said he was early on in the development process, and they promised to work with the township engineers and stuff to get that lowered. So we're glad to have him. Hopefully, he can get that done. And if he can't, maybe we could look at making that a park or something. But this is going on for 25 years, okay, and counting, the abandonment of that building. So clearly, I mean, there's extreme differences between those 2 buildings and the old police station. Earlier, Mr. Salzer, just described proposed zoning changes to allow construction of multi-unit housing into a use by right across the board in the state. And he compared it to something a communist government would enact, okay? But interestingly, at the June Board of Supervisors meeting, the only benefit that was said to deeding the old police station to the RDA is that the supervisors get to pick how the new owner uses the property, okay? That and withholding information about the appraisal sounds like more communism, government to me, right here in Northampton. So you're complaining about it here, but it seems like you're doing it.
All right.
With the deal with the redevelopment authority. So anyhow,
Mr. Pellegrino has one comment for you, and then we're going to wrap it up.
First of all, no one withheld anything.
Yeah.
That appraisal was authorized. It was done fairly. The 5,000 square foot building you think we have a plan for is what the appraiser estimated could be built on the property if it were sold and developed. as a single lot. That's where that comes from. There's no more tax freezes in Richboro. That was shut down by the school district. We haven't had that in 5 years. And I don't know what you're talking about taxpayer-funded incentives through the RDA. The RDA is simply a conduit that we can use to get apples-to-apples appraisals, our proposals for redevelopment of a property, and they're mainly intended for properties that are hard to develop, and this is a property that's going to be difficult to develop. So there are some misstatements that I really felt I needed to correct. The appraisal was done legitimately according to law. This is an appraiser who's done business for decades. There's nothing wrong with it. And it is going to be used as a determination for what the township will sell the property for. It will not sell it for less than that. To my knowledge, there's no intent to build residential on that site. It's a commercial area, or actually it's an institutional area, but it's in the village overlay. It makes absolutely perfect sense to have some kind of non-residential development on that site. And I don't know, I heard rumors that there's going to be apartments or whatever, that I don't know where they're coming from, but it's completely wrong.
Okay, so
I'll
then-
just give you one last chance to comment, and then we'll close it up, wrap it up.
Well, I'm going to rebut what was.
It's a 3-minute
Yeah,
setting.
just get,
You gave previous speakers plenty of time to speak.
Joe, just go ahead and get your point.
It's in the minutes.
I'm pretty flexible with you.
So through the chair to the manager, so then you deny then that in the appraisal, there was a sketch for a 5,000 square foot building?
No, there is a sketch.
Okay, which included tons of parking, more than a 5,000
That's what the appraiser put together.
The appraiser created that sketch?
The appraiser created that sketch.
Okay. I'll look into that.
He estimated what could be built in an effort to value the property for development. And in order to value the property, he not only looked at comparables, but he had to estimate, based on our zoning regulations, what a developer who came in and bought the property could build on the property, assuming demolition of the existing building. And that's part of the determination and how we valued it.
Okay, but it goes to the point, if it assumes that there's going to be an R2 zoning, okay, for that site, okay? And
No, it doesn't.
It's in the appraisal. It says it right in the appraisal.
No, there's no R2. It's not R2.
That is going to be changed to an R2
No.
site.
You're not reading it correctly, Joe. There's
Okay.
no residential proposed for that site. It wouldn't make sense to put residential there.
I'm sorry, you're right, it's not an R2, it's a change to, up the zoning to a commercial. But it's going to have a 20%,
C2.
but the bottom line is,
C2.
it'll be able to be built out to 20%. Why didn't he appraise it at 20%? Instead of 5,000. He's undervaluing the property by valuing at 5,000 square feet.
Joe, why don't you just tell us what you want to hear?
Okay, I'm going to drop back. Let me
Let's
finish
just wrap
one
it
more
up.
thing here, Mr. Chairman. Okay. Here, this is again from the Redevelopment Authority. With experience in applying for and obtaining federal, state, and local grants, low-interest financing, and tax credits which can provide the financial resources necessary to carry out community and economic development projects. This is from their website. That's what they do.
Okay.
Okay.
For polluted properties that need incentives to be redeveloped.
Okay.
They're brownfield sites. This is not a brownfield.
It doesn't say that. I'm reading what it says.
Okay. No, we appreciate your comment.
Yeah. Can I make one comment on this thing? Joe, I think you're really overreaching this whole appraisal process, and unfortunately, I think you're really just totally misunderstanding it. The township wants the ability to put something in that site that makes sense for the residents of the township. And by using the RDA, the RDA can facilitate that process by go out with the RFP and solicit bids from multiple sources. They present the bids in a public meeting to the township in this public forum here, and we'll review those in front of everybody's eyes, and we'll figure out the best thing. If we didn't have the RDA in the loop here, then typically the township would have to sell it to the highest bidder. And we have no, very limited control what could go there. But by having the RDA, we have a lot more control with that. And that's how it works. So I don't want to talk anymore about it, but you're looking for something that's not there, Joe. Everything's above board. Everything's been done publicly. And it's always in the best interest of the township. And we've done it before with the mill race. We did it with the schoolhouse. And it's worked. And it worked throughout the community. So that's it.
Joe.
No, I get the.
No,
He addressed me. I should respond to that, okay?
Joe.
It goes back
No,
to
it's-
the communist question, the communist government again, okay? So you don't want the government to dictate
Joe.
this. You want to
Joe,
dictate.
that's it.
Thank you. Have a good
Thank
night.
Thank you.
Yep.
Is there any other business? Hearing none, meeting's adjourned. Thank you.